Yeah, you the model, the lawyer, the stewardess. Yeah. You the doctor, the dentist, you doing it. That's why they scared of your beauty, they scared of your face, they scared of your mind.
We're starting this thing. Joni!
Hi, Victoria.
You look so beautiful. You look
So
super...
do you. You always look pretty.
Thank you. You are just... I feel like you're vibing with your energy drink right now with the peach vibes and beautiful hair with the flower in your ear. Well, we are double quarantined in California.
Yes, double quarantine. Double up on that quarantine.
Round 2. I have with me lovely, beautiful Joni Llamedo, Miss Gorgeous, Filipino, born and raised in Hawaii, from the Big Island. Do you say Big Island?
Oh, no, I'm not from Big Island.
You're not from the Big Island.
I'm actually from Oahu.
From Oahu?
Yeah.
What's the Big Island? I don't know.
Big Island, that's a Kilo. Hawaii's always going to have some sort of nice view, greenery. Yeah. Love Oahu.
Thanks for coming on. We have music, singer, songwriter, most gorgeous voice that you can listen to, so soothing, so amazing, with Ninth Realm Records.
Yeah, I record on the Ninth Realm, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you? How's life?
I'm well. It's been busy, but yeah. How have you been?
It's been good too. I have been having a lot of fun chatting with musicians such as yourself and talking about these difficult times and figuring out what life is looking like for you, for me, and just inspiring and uplifting people. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. So Joni and I, we were hanging out about a week ago now. It's been probably like a week before lockdown number 2 started. And we as in me, she started jamming out, playing on the guitar. We were having such a good time, and she was singing songs that just uplifted our spirits, and it was so much fun. And listening to this girl live and watching her just do her thing, I was like, oh my God, I gotta get her on here. I love this girl. You guys are in for a treat. For those of you that don't know her, definitely support and follow. Like, so talented, so talented. So that's why I wanted to bring you on. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks again for having me.
Okay, so with everything happening with pandemic, as a working musician, I wanted to talk about what it's been looking like for you. So I know that it's hit hard on the world, but especially for musicians, especially for people within entertainment, not having events. When the pandemic hit and everything got shut down, what happened in your world? Like, what did that look like?
What happened in my world? I was pretty devastated. I've always found it to be a blessing to be able to do what I love for a living. As my dad put it recently, basically, us musicians, we get paid to make people happy with with music. And when the pandemic hit and things started to shut down, I was one of the ones who kind of, cried about it, because a lot of my friends, they were planning a lot of tours, and it's just basically the way it rocked everybody's world. We had a bunch of plans, and this is how things were going to go down, and all of that was gone, let alone it's something that we work so hard to, get to that point in our careers. That being said, it was almost like I just had to readjust. For me, it happened and I was out of work because the restaurants shut down that I played at. A lot of the weddings were canceled. So I flew home and I got to spend time with my family. The biggest thing was being able to spend time with my family and do things that I haven't been able to do in a long time. I got to celebrate both my sister's birthdays. I got to celebrate my dad's birthday, Mother's Day, and these are holidays and special occasions that I haven't celebrated with them in over 6 years. I want to say 7 years, maybe, however long I've been here now. But
that's a long time to be away from family. It's really refreshing to hear how instead of you being stuck, maybe, or being in this place of, well, now I just have to be inside and now I have to be home. You got to go home versus being stuck at home. You got to fly home. You got to be with them. And especially since you have not been with them for such a long time, I can't imagine how that must have brought you back to life in a sense.
oh yeah, very well said. That's exactly what had happened. Going back, it was I think that's kind of the benefit probably that everybody can take away, is like this gain perspective of things that like we kind of take for granted. Even there are days where like I would complain about like certain conditions of gigs, or like people like that don't exactly make my job the easiest. But I would always kind of laugh with my friends and be like, man, like what a luxury it is to like even consider like not doing a gig. Like people would, you know, there's some people who are just trying to get in this industry of like, even as a working musician, like doing restaurants and events and stuff, and they would kill to be able to do what I'm doing. I'm over here being like a sourpuss about it or something. But it's a gain perspective where being back home with my family, it made me realize it is such a luxury to be able to take care of the people that have taught me so much of what I know, and that have sacrificed so much to be able to give this type of life to my sisters and me.
Yeah. When you went back home, if anything, it was a good break. So you came to LA. You LA based?
Yeah, I'm in Cerritos.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you came to LA about 6 years ago. And 6 years
something
ago?
Like that, 6 or 7 years ago.
And it was in this pursuit of just making it as a musician.
No, actually.
Okay.
This is like, okay,
What's the
story. So what had happened was
what happened was mm-hmm.
So I actually I was considering, after I had graduated from college, I was like, oh, I kind of want to check out California for like a year. And with where I was at in my life, I decided not to, because I was very content with where I was at. I had somebody who was a touring musician, somebody who played a big role in my life at the time. He had told me, he was like, I think it would be good for you to go and just check it out. I think him and his band lived here in California for a bit too. So he was saying that it helped him gain a lot of perspective. I was only supposed to stay here for 5 months. And it was like very spur of the moment, where when he had told me, he's like, oh yeah, you should come, you should go to California and just check it out, just to gain the experience. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay. And I booked that ticket within a week or something like that. And I was like, okay, well,
oh man, you did not think twice about it.
Well, I mean, not saying that my departure date was within the week, but it was like I had my ticket booked, and I was like, I'm
going to do it.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. And even in my own head, I was like, dang, am I like legit doing this? And granted, this wasn't even with any discussion with my parents, really. Like, and it was just kind of like, oh, I just kind of did it, and I don't know what the heck I was thinking and doing it that way. But it was a very nonchalant, like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go to California. And my mom was like, oh, okay. And it was like for 5 months, and then it was like that heartbreaking, like, months go by, and I was like, yeah, I think I might be staying, like, because my cousins, oh man, my family took me in. I was like hopping on everybody's couches, like just doing what I could, like, just because I wasn't expecting to stay, you know.
So what made you stay?
I did open mics for 2 weeks, which was my cousin's idea, because California is pretty big in comparison to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit bigger. So I kind of didn't know where to start, and she just gave me a list of all these like cafes and like restaurants that had open mics, and then she was like, here, you should just go check it out. I was like, cool. And so I would check it out. I think I did it for, I want to say I did it for like 2 weeks. Like I played different venues, just, doing little spots at their open mics. And then I booked like 4 shows. And so she was telling me, she goes, to be honest, like, she's like, I think you should reconsider staying, because she goes, I don't think that happens very often where you just do gigs for 2 weeks and then you book 4 shows. She's like, it's kind of a lot. And so
in Hawaii, were you already thinking like you wanted to pursue music and you wanted to pursue singing and performances?
No.
Because if you so then the whole travel idea, that was just to expand your world?
I was just curious, because I mean, there's some people who say like with Hawaii, like people in Hawaii, it's like, oh, the island's too small, you get island fever. Like I've never felt that way. Like Hawaii will always be home.
Sure, it was home.
And it's, I was born and raised there, and I think that like there's some people who they really feel like Hawaii's really small for them, or they're like, the whole term is that island fever, right? Like they're just like, it's too small, I need to get out of here. But I've never felt that. I was just kind of like, I kind of wonder what's going on. And I think there's like a bigger part of me that like, I didn't realize how much I kind of enjoyed traveling. So I think that, especially at the time, I don't think I realized it, but I think doing that, it was like one of those things, probably just the travel aspect alone was very like, oh, cool. Because I never I don't think I ever traveled by myself before I took my flight here. So even navigating my way around, like we've traveled as a family, but to like do it by yourself, and you're kind of like, I don't know what's going on, But
I'm just tripping out, because then the whole music thing was because you thought it was fun, and your cousin was like, do this, you have a great singing voice, and you're like, okay. I mean, so I know that you did.
I was checking the music scene out, but it wasn't intending to be like, oh, I'm gonna come in, be a full-time musician here in California. Yeah, it was really just to check out the music scene.
Dang. And so when you started doing these open mics and you were booking shows, that's just because people who saw you sing, they were like, hey, we have this going on, we'd love you to be an opener or a headliner? Or how did that look like?
So it would be one of those things where they had like one of the restaurants at the time, I did the open mic there, and they're like, oh, we want to actually have you perform on a night like where I got paid. And then so it was like that type of, like basically what I do now. Like it was like leading into that. It was kind of crazy. I know.
5 months turned into 6 years.
Yeah, like 6 or 7 years and counting.
Do you see yourself leaving?
Oh, that's a rough question. That's hard.
Is it too soon to tell?
I think it's too soon to tell, but I think it's almost like I associate, like, obviously there's like the second home here, but I think here it's a lot more work-based. So like like Ninth Realm, like the studio that I work out of, I started an internship under Aaron Kaili, and it was to learn engineering and the producing side of things. So there's like still that curiosity that I have. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how it's gotten me this far, is I'm always curious about how it kind of works and like the behind the scenes stuff. But as far as like being able to work with people like Aaron, that is like a huge benefit from being here, is being in the studio with musicians and, an engineer of his caliber and like the musicians of their caliber that work out of there. So it's more so the opportunity at this current time right now is what's keeping me here. And hearing myself, I'm like, gosh, I sound like you don't even know if I'm going to go or stay. Like that's what I feel like I sound like.
Part of the journey.
Oh yeah, it's all about the journey.
Knowing. But I like the fact that you took a chance on traveling, and that suggestion sparked that curiosity within you, got you on a plane over to this big island. And
very big island.
Very big. It's very big. There's many things happening.
They call it the mainland.
They
call like this is the mainland, and then like Hawaii, it's like, what is it? Well, is it the Contiguous? Is that the phrase?
I have no idea.
That's a wrong word. Girl, edit this
Maybe.
out. They're gonna be like, this girl is like, she needs to get on it.
We need,
But the like
California's
North
the big
America, like they call it the mainland. Like, oh, are you from the mainland? Like in Hawaii, if they're like, you're from the mainland.
Oh, okay. The States is known as the main, like the Connected States is the mainland.
Yes.
And Hawaii is just island.
It's fine. Well, if we say something, I mean, if we refer to the mainland, we're talking about, was it the right word? Contiguous?
I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
Shall I? Okay. Yeah. Contiguous. Touching, intact. You're right, girl. You know those big words. Own it, even if it was wrong.
Oh gosh, I've been living on the mainland for a while now. You were born and raised here in California?
I'm born and raised in California, and I'm borderline OC and LA County.
Oh.
And technically LA County. The dynamic is funny. OC is one world, LA is an entirely different world.
Really?
Have you not noticed that?
I think to a certain extent that I have, but I don't know if it's just because, like, I didn't know if it was like just me. I noticed slight differences.
Oh, there's a big difference. And if you notice, OC people don't really hang out within the LA side.
Oh.
I don't know how often LA folk come into the OC territories.
We can't sit with them.
They don't sit with us. They're not allowed to come over here. OC is for us and LA is for them.
Oh, wait, so you said you're more...
I am like a fusion because I have, like, my gym is OC, my job is OC, but I have my LA people. And I've gone to acting school in LA. I've done many outings in LA. Like, I'm down with the vibe in LA.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know you did acting.
Why you think I'm here, girl?
Girl, let me get my monologue ready.
You can't put me on the spot, Joni. God. I'd rather hear you sing than a monologue. That's cool. We'll get you to sing in a minute. But first, so tell me about going back home. I mean, you were there for the first time in a long time. Like,
yeah,
how does that tie into how it's going to benefit you now moving forward for your musical career? Yeah,
going back, it was, I think when we briefly talked about it, I mentioned something like, man, like just being able to wash dishes for my family after like a home cooked meal, like with them. These are things that, again, like I didn't get to do. So just the everyday things, the day-to-day things that, you know, I don't get to do with them, I was able to for 3 months. And little things like my mom does music for the church. And so she was prepping. So, okay, little backstory is that I would freak out singing any solos in church. It like freaks me out. And so, like, still to this day it freaks you out? Or yeah, I think in general, like, well, it was really bad before, like for my sister's wedding. I love you, Annie, and I'm so sorry. I butchered what I was supposed to sing for her wedding, the mass for the mass, because we're Catholic. And so we had the actual like structure, the format of the mass. And there's one part called a responsorial song, which I was supposed to sing. And it was like, it was rough. It was rough. Why does that make you so nervous? I don't know. I still get nervous singing in front of people. I mean, I've obviously... You do? I do. Low key, that makes you feel better about life. Yeah, I get super nervous, and it's not that singing in a restaurant holds less value than singing in a church, but you know, and it's a different intention, I guess. I can phrase it that way. I feel like that's not the right way to say it, but I think it is, because I could imagine that you're trying to do things with a little bit more righteous intention. Can we say it that way? I know. I was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like at church, it wouldn't be the Joni show, watch me sing. It's more like
no, I'm singing for something else. And then when you're performing, they're hiring you for your talent, and people are watch you and be entertained by you. You can just melt out, be you in that sense.
But even then, like, man, like people are like coming up to me and they're like, we're so sorry people aren't clapping, or they aren't, or they're talking and you're singing. And I'm like, man, that makes me feel so much better, because it's like, I'm more like it's more the ambiance, you know, you're creating the environment for them. It's kind of like knowing your place. Obviously, if it was like just a music venue, which I've done a show that it was only my family, because they have some gigs here in California where it's pretty much like a booking company, but they expect you to sell the tickets, and that's how you get a percentage, or, you know, that's how they get their cut. And I didn't know anybody besides my family. So man, they're like, talk about coming through. There was just a small group of them, because I opened before all the bands, because it was only me and my friend Brian, who played bass. And when we played for this show in Anaheim, I think it's at Chain Reaction, it was, again, I'm navigating around this territory I was not expecting to navigate around. And so like, they're like, you have to sell X amount of tickets. So my cousin like bought, and she was like trying to get her friends to come out, but they couldn't. And then, so it was just a small group of them, like in this huge like venue. And then was a pretty big venue in the sense of like, there's like 6 people, like just, you know, but they were awesome. And they came through, they were clapping and cheering.
Had your back?
They had my back. Yeah. So they came through. But again, it's all like how you said, it's part of the journey, and it's like navigating around everything. And I think with the whole singing in church and it making me nervous, I think it's just the dynamic of your role as like the singer in that, you know what I mean? So background music, or being a front man to like a headlining show, like there's just different, like I feel like there's different vibes and energies to it. So I think like it's to a point where in church, like you could hear my voice shaking, because like I couldn't breathe, like I would be so nervous, and you could hear my voice shaking. No, girl, it's not vibrato. And I couldn't play it off. Mm-mm. Even my grandma after my sister's wedding was like, what happened?
She did?
Oh yeah, it was great.
She was like, Mija. No, I'm just kidding. She didn't.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad it got better about that, because, oh my gosh, so what even led up to this whole conversation was the fact that being home, right, with my mom, she was getting music together. And it's just like, you know, the little things that you appreciate, that, you know, you gain perspective of appreciating the little things. Mm-hmm. So as time was passing, all I could really do was just ask like how I could help with it. Like any of my family members are like, okay, I'm sure I had my sour moments, my little Sour Patch Kid moments. But when my mom was getting the music ready, I had asked her, I was like, oh, is there anything I can do? Because I saw she was like scrambling to like organize all the stuff. And so she looks at me, and then she was, oh, I think I'm okay. And she goes, oh, can you cantor for me at mass tonight? And I was like, what? And that's the person who sings in front. So one of the scariest things that I find to do just see in front of church, she was like, can you do it? And I looked at her and I was like, oh, this is why I don't ask if people need help. And I told her, she was just laughing at me. I was like, I knew I shouldn't have asked if you needed help.
I was just kidding.
I was kidding.
God.
Curse my good heart.
But you did it anyways.
I did. But it was like, it's just little things like that, and being able to learn from my dad. Like I do a lot of like, not a lot, but I would always do like work around the house with him. So I got to learn some like drywall stuff this time, and like it was fun.
So this is just like taking some time off. It wasn't super detriment. You took advantage, took time off. You were with family, gained perspective.
Yeah, because I think with everybody, basically it took away the norm, right? We're in this rhythm, and it took us away from our norm. So it left us in a position of like, okay, what now? Like, what are we going to do now? Like, if there's like things that aren't working out in a certain area, instead of trying to fight that and figure out why, to step back and see that there's a lot of opportunity to take action for a lot of things that are just right in front of us, whether it's like spending more time with our kids, you know, I mean not that I've kids, our kids, spending more time with
spend time
for
with
the
them.
parents, spending time with the kids, for the kids, like, you know, spending time with the parents, like being able to, you know, help around, especially if people have older relatives, you know, being more mindful of the position that they're in within all of this. People learning new things. I mean, having these resources nowadays online, there's so many things you can learn just by being home and having a computer and the internet. And so you have all these people that learn how to sew, people building planters, you know, like learning how to garden. Like, human beings are resilient. And this is the time that it's like coming up.
I love that. Yes, you're right. We are.
You're resilient, Victoria. You show them.
Joni, you tell them. Anyone who's human out there, resilient. Yes. Girl, you're too much.
But just enough.
This is our resilience right here. And it's funny that it's seemingly looking like there's a lot of crap in the world, but it's really not. Aside from I am sensitive and completely sympathize and am aware of how it has affected people and the losses that there have been, I can never say anything against that, and I so wish that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like there are a lot of great things that are coming forward, but to be fair, there are a lot of like gnarly things going on right now.
I know.
It's just like,
for sure.
Yeah, it's almost just like getting through this rough stretch is what, you know, we're all trying to navigate and figure out. Like, we're all in this right now, you know,
seeing how our resilience kicks in. And I mean, this channel, if anything, is a result of this time off, if we look at it that way. And to hear the positivity is inspiring. And I hope that it reaches many, and to shift into that perspective that there's many things to still create within themselves. Have that perspective of appreciating time with family that they probably didn't get before, appreciating just the things that they would have never even really noticed. And then there's time to take up pottery, or to take up sewing, or to take up social media skills. Miss Joni. JK, girl, JK.
Yeah. I got somebody on that.
Oh, that's right. You let her handle.
Yeah, she's a boss.
For sure. That's what you got to do. Sometimes you outsource and you handle your business. You create, write music. You do what you do.
Especially like if it's like you're talking about career, there's always like a different aspect to learn. Or, you know, for example, working musicians who the gigs aren't as crazy anymore, we get in the studio. Now, not only do we have more time to be in the studio with everything going on and all this perspective we keep talking about, I'm sure it gives us so much more to write about.
So then now that you're back on the mainland, what's it looking like for you? What's in the works for Joni?
As of right now, like I said, getting back in the studio at Ninth Realm. We actually will be moving locations, you know, so we can get it all vibey again, and we'll be able to get to write. I'll be doing some collabs with a lot of great musicians, like Swell's OC. We'll be working on a song together. Even Anthony Francisco, Griff Cowan, you know, Tyrone, Ty is out of there too. And we'll just be able to get back on track with, I was supposed to be releasing an EP during the summer, but I flew home. So obviously like that
came back better than ever.
I am refreshed. That was my spa day. Yeah, so I'll be able to get back in the studio, get back on track with the songs that were supposed to be on the EP. At this point, I'm thinking it'll be more singles now, but we got some music coming out soon. Any week now, I'll be dropping a new single called Waiting, which I'm actually very very excited about that song just because it was a very, 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 it's a lot of varies in this. I'm super stoked because this song was a very different. Now, every time I say very, I'm going to want to laugh. Like, sorry.
Very sorry or just sorry?
I'm very sorry. I am very sorry. Well, the song Waiting, it's an incredibly honest song with a little more relation to where I'm at in my life now. Like I said, I am Catholic, so a lot of my upbringing is faith-based. Like, that's how we did music. That's how we learned music, was in church. And this song is about what kind of person I want to be, let alone for me, what kind of woman I want to be, which is the hook itself is, I want to be the kind of woman you pray for.
Ooh.
But it's not necessarily in a sense of the guy that wants to be with me prays for. It's like the kind of woman I pray I grow to be, and I continue to grow to be. When people heard it, they're like, oh, you trying to be God's gift to man? I was like, okay, calm down. No, that's not what I meant.
Got it, haters. Got
Haters. But yeah, so this song, I'm just really excited because it's extremely honest with where I'm at in my life right now. So I'm just super stoked. And I'm just super stoked to like drop music.
Songs coming out, and I'm definitely going to stay posted. I remember listening to that song in the studio.
Yes. I was so happy you came out that night.
Yeah.
I was so stoked. I forgot you heard it in the studio.
And lastly, so that people can follow you and they can stay posted on your music and everything that you're writing and that you're creating, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Joni L Music, JONIL Music, and everything's linked to there. So that'll be the main place you can stay in touch.
So the biggest thing is we got new songs coming out. You're working in the studio. Who knows what live performances are going to look like in the future? But I'm excited for that. I'm super excited for that. We'll get dates later on.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We're taking it as it comes. So
going with the flow, staying positive. And
staying productive. Keep growing, keep learning. Even within all this, there's always something to take away from it. Give back when you can. Yeah, everybody's able to, like, I feel like people underestimate the things that they're able to do and their skills. You know, people forget that they have a lot to give.
You give me joy with your singing.
Speaking of giving.
We have...
That's a segue, though.
You're right, Joni. You give. Talk about that giving. Give that example right now with a little live preview.
Okay, let me get my guitar.
Okay. All of the people tuning in and watching our fun chat, let's give them a sweet send-off.
Okay, I'll try. I'm nervous, girl.
You don't even have to try. You just...
Oh my gosh, this
gorgeous voice of yours.
Are you gonna be my hype girl? I feel like I need you in my life. Okay, is it okay?
Beautiful.
Okay. Oh my gosh. See, my hands are sweating.
I'm so happy.
You gonna sing with me, right?
Oh gosh, no, don't make me do that.
Cuatro brazos y un café. Apenas me desperté y al mirarte recordé que ya todo lo encontré en tu mano, en mi mano. De todo escapamos juntos, ver el sol caer. Vamos pa' la playa, pa' curarte el alma, cierra la pantalla, abre la medalla, todo el mar Caribe, ven a tu cintura, tú le coqueteas, tú eres pues cabulla, me gusta, lento y contento, cara al viento,
what giving can do. I'm just like, that was so great. I love it. I love hearing you sing.
I'm sweating.
Girl, that's because it's hot outside. Don't you worry. For everybody that watched, thanks so much. I hope that you were able to be inspired and just enjoy the conversation and listen to this girl. Go follow her and support her. Amazing vibes, cool chick. Love you. Mwah. All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on, girl. All right. I'll catch you all next time.
Okay.
Yeah, you the model, the lawyer, the stewardess. Yeah. You the doctor, the dentist, you doing it. That's why they